Right, we have producer extraordinary in the house. And he was trying to make some distinctions between different brands of producing, but then we'll talk to him about it. I mean, I think that's when we'll start on. We have Olaitan Dada in the house. Great to have you on the show, sir.
You're welcome.
I like the way he talks again.
Yeah,
Great to have you on the show again.
Come on.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Look, give me that laughter.
I mean, yeah, it's, you know. All right, well, cool. Just before we started, you said something that you're a producer, a mix engineer, and a mastering engineer.
Yeah.
What is there any difference between a producer and the other two?
Well, in the world of production, actually, there are different phases. There's a music producer. There's a vocal producer.
Okay.
There's a mix engineer. There's a recording engineer. There's a mastering engineer. That each phase has its own specialty, you know, and then you have masters of those fields actually. But unfortunately, when you come down to Nigeria, everybody is everything, you know. So, but professionally, it's meant to be done. You're just supposed to focus on one area. I mean, it's supposed to be if somebody wants to knock out a song or a track, for instance, okay, call somebody from this field, call somebody from this field, that field, let all of them form a team and then work on your track. And
so as a Nigerian, are you all in one?
Unfortunately.
Okay, no, it's good news now.
You know, actually, I said unfortunately.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be
Nigerians are supposed to, he said, when there's supposed to be a team, but yeah, you just come and just your light on that are only on the console.
Yeah.
What are the rest?
No, more like he'll do like this thing. He'll go and set the camera. Mic check. Go right.
You're like, please, where's my mix engineer, my mastering? I do.
Oh, that's
Are you not
me.
seeing all of them here?
I mean, it was different, though, when I was working with Cobhams. When I was working with Cobhams was the producer. I was the mix engineer, so you understand.
Okay. So he was the producer and you were the mix engineer.
Yes.
How was it like working with Cobhams? Let's talk about that.
Oh, wow. It was a fantastic 3.5 years of my life, I think. Cobombs is brilliant. There's no point flogging that. It's really brilliant. We had a good flow. We had a good working relationship. We blended so much that I started thinking like him. He influenced a lot of my creativity, influenced a lot of my decisions in production. And I'm grateful for the time that we spent together. And we're still very, very good friends.
How were you able to help someone with visual impairment? And how did you guys work as a team? How was it possible with that kind of challenge?
He doesn't see it as a challenge, and that's one thing that helps you out instantly. In fact, he will crack jokes about it. So you don't even have to feel awkward about it. And if anybody that has worked with Cobombs will tell you, by the time you spend 30 minutes with him, you forget he's blind because he's doing everything that you do. In fact, he can engineer himself. You know, but it's just that he needs the speed and he needs some particular things done. And
all right, talking about your singing, do you remember In His Image?
Oh, I still do remember In His Image.
So what part were you singing in His Image? He's a singer, so he was part of an a cappella group.
That's a very brilliant question because
I suspect bass.
No, funny enough, I'm not even close to doing bass.
Whoa, so what were you?
Yeah, I do baritone if need be, second tenor if need be, first tenor, if need be, sometimes bass. But that's because each one of us in the group tries to learn all parts. So just in case we have to switch parts while singing a song.
How many were you guys in the group? Talk to us about the group. How was it formed and how's it been after leaving school? You are, by the way, right?
Yes. In His Image was formed under a mango tree. In the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Maryland. That's the story I was told because I didn't start with them. I started in '96. I joined in '99. We met in the University of Ibadan, and imagine, you know, meeting people that you had looked at as, man, these people are stars, and then you just see them in the same school with you, and you're blown to bits. And we formed. I was invited to join, and it was a great ride. In fact, I think singing within His Image really did form a lot. Really did help my production career because you had to learn harmonies, you had to learn arrangements, and that's what I use now as part of my key the key qualities in tracks I produce, the harmonies, the arrangements. I try to make them as good as possible.
All right. I've listened to some songs. I've seen lists of songs that you've produced or co-produced, and they're just very, very unique. So what do you think about the sound in Nigeria? Let me say sound in the sense that the kind of sounds produced, kind of quality of sounds produced. What's your thoughts on that in Nigeria?
Okay, I'll answer that in two factions. Or I think first off, we should confess music in Nigeria is way better than what it used to be. I think that there are now amazing producers. I think that there's more, there are more witty producers ready to take different routes that have not been tested before and try things that are new and, you know, create grooves that no matter how stiff you are, you have to bop your head, you know, and that really works. You know, so I think with that, I think that music in Nigeria is getting better. Flip side is that music in Nigeria sometimes can be unidirectional, such that you find out that one artist comes out with a track and it sounds this particular way, this particular groove becomes a hit, and every producer all of a sudden wants to produce their track to sound like that because they believe that's what is gonna, you know, so it keeps, and sometimes even the producers that want to produce other kinds of music find artists that come and tell you, make my song like that. I want that. You know, I call those kind of songs pace setters. You know, once one comes out like that, I just go, oh my goodness, we're going to find like 25 of this very soon. Very soon. It comes out.
And it does happen.
Oh, no, I shouldn't give examples.
Yeah, you shouldn't give examples.
Okay.
Maybe backstage you get the examples.
The cat's tail, not the whole cat, just the tail. Let's see the tail.
No. Who did that?
All right.
Okay, for instance, you can find a groove that all of a sudden, I remember there was a time that there was a group that was going beat, and every song I used to call it matching sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, and then all of a sudden there was a track that came out, and all we heard was bat. Now everybody wants to, you know, and everybody's, you know. But I think that if I was going to say, I would prefer a world where there can be different forms of music, different genres. Exactly. Because you find out that the public, the people, yearn for new things. They yearn for their styles of music. There are melancholics, there are different people that have different needs for different forms of music, not all the time exciting music. And then also the lyrics matter because of the mess. I believe that music is a great tool. You can use it to form world peace and start a war. You know, and people should be very careful about the message that they pass with the music that they create. What do you want? What do you think your child will listen to that will transform his or her life? Do you want them to hear bomb music, or, you know, do you want them to hear music that will make them sit down and think, or do you want them to hear music that will make them love their neighbors or love properly? You know, I'm just that kind of person. Really.
All right, so still and sound.
Before you go there,
okay,
you should call out the numbers.
Definitely. The phone lines are open and you can call in. Oga Boss is in the house. Senior Oga Boss. And numbers call are 08091222283, 08091222284, 08091222285, 08091222286, also 0814-0283 and 284. So calling. Back to the question. Different sounds in different countries. I noticed that we don't really have our own indigenous kind of sound, like Constant K, like South Africa, you have house. UK, you have pop. Some countries, you have reggae and all that. But we remix, we get different sounds. Do you think we'll ever find a balanced ground to have, okay, this sound, it's Nigerian, oh, it originated from Nigeria, apart from Afrobeat?
Okay, well, yeah, there have been different genres that have originated from Nigeria. You have Afrobeat, you have Juju, you have a mixture of Afro, Juju, you have Fuji, you have some of those salient, I mean, even East Nigerian music, which is now being remodernized to that sound that you hear now. Yeah. But I can tell you one thing, even though you might think that you can't really place your hand on a general vibe of music from Nigeria. Nigeria is creating music that other nations are now trying to emulate. That is one thing I have found out. You know, they're here. There's no matter what, you can't take away groove from Nigeria. Nigeria has groove. If you doubt me, go to any Owambe party and listen to those talking drummers or any reception and then hear them jive. You can't actually find that quantized beat on any software. It's groove. It's in them. It's, in fact, if you quantize any of those, I'm sorry, I'm using my words now, but if you try to form those, if you restrict the beat pattern to be stiff, you won't find the groove. The groove is in Nigeria, and we're beginning to get to that point where we're exporting that groove. So I don't totally agree that you can't find that nature of music. All I know is that what we create here, they want out there.
Oh, right.
Let's take us. You're talking about quantizing now. Take us through the process of production. The artist comes to you, and would you even if I come to you and say, okay, I want my beat to sound like this. Would you give the person advice, or would you just do exactly as the artist says?
Okay. My best way of answering that question will be this. I relate with artists in two different ways. Each producer has their own ways of relating. First of all, I think a music producer is one who can listen to your idea and interpret it. Now, the forms of interpretation differ with each music producer, with each, their experience, what they are exposed to. They have different ways that can interpret one particular music from an artist. Now, so my job as a music producer is to look for the best way to take what you have and make it connect to the people you want to listen. Because if there's no connection, you've not succeeded in your process of interpretation. And so, when an artist comes to me and says, "Oh, I want this song. This is how I want it to sound. This is how I want it to sound," I listen. I take some time. I listen through again and again. Now, if the idea is fantastic, I tell them straight up, "I think this will fly. This is a brilliant idea. Let's go in this direction." If I think I have a better idea, I tell them, "I think this idea is better. Let's go in this direction. But if you insist on yours, we can do it in yours." Sometimes to make them feel at home, I tell them, "Let's try mine first. If it doesn't work,
then we
can
go
go
back
to yours." I have as an example, I remember when my friend Isaac Gerald came to the studio to do Fall in Love. The idea of Fall in Love was not high life at all. At all. It was more Igba melo lo ma gba e ba ti gba láti fall in love. You know, Isaac can be very jazzy, and I was like, okay, Isaac, you know, really, this sounds really good and it will really fly, but I think maybe to connect to more people, you might want to go high life. People haven't done high life in a while. And he was like, "Are you sure, Olaitan? It doesn't sound like me." I said, "Okay, you know what? Let's try it. If it doesn't work." Even at the end of the day, I was the most surprised at how much that song went, because everybody just goes singing it, and it was because it was just different. So
let's talk about the people you've worked with. Jyro, Omawumi,
Omawumi, Banky W, Asha.
Yeah.
Should we continue? You can give us the remaining.
How has it been working with these people?
Do
they, you know, all these superstars? How has it been with working with them?
Well,
I know these days, you know, those days then, back then we always hear the artists, but these days now producers are having a voice and even a face, you know, because nowadays even the producer at times might even sell a song. Like I might just be starting off and I look at produced by Olaitan Dada, who has worked with. So I'm using the, you know, I'm going through your own, you know, what you've done and all of that, and I'm using it to hype myself. How has it been working with these guys?
It's always good to work with A-list artists. First of all, they are kings and queens in their fields, and they are professionals. So it's easier. They work. You get the vibe. You you try to understand their style, and then, you know, you get to work. And most importantly, you know that if you can create a hit with an A-list artist,
You're on top.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, enough of the rosy story. You're telling us the honeymoon part of the story. What's your worst experience? You don't have to tell us the person, but what has been your worst experience with one of the artists?
Yeah.
Worst experience. Terrible. Horrible.
No, it might not be horrible anyway. So just, what's your worst experience you've ever had with working?
No,
it's been rosy all the way.
All through, right?
No, there was a project I did work on, and an artist came in feeling very pompous. It was a group of artists, and he came in, he was quite pompous. It was a song that Nigeria eventually fell in love with, but he was more of a, what kind of pot and pan music is this? You know, can't believe in this century we're still making this kind of music. Washed it down.
Wow.
When he finally became a hit, what did the person do?
I've not even seen him since then.
Whoa.
I'm just glad that it did.
Yeah, it did. You think about it differently. Okay, you also sing. Are we going to do what you did? You have a single out there. Are we going to do what you did to your wife?
We're three. We're complete now. A cappella.
No, I don't sing.
Come on.
Are you going to do what you did for your wife, or are you going to sing for Jyro? Which one?
No, for the wife. For the wife.
The one for the wife.
No, the one I did for my wife was a big. It started off as a joke, really.
Okay.
I hadn't done anything I hadn't sang for her throughout our marriage, I think. And that night I just thought, well, you know, let me just write something funny. And I did it that night with a friend of mine, Rotimi Keys, and the next morning I played it for her and she was just laughing.
Oh, so cute.
A couple of months later, people were telling me, put it out, it's so good. Why are you keeping it on your studio? And I just released it online.
We'll use that to round up the show. But Ben, let's talk about it. What do you have in store? You said something about that you sing on stage and all of that. What do you have in store for the future? Are you planning to get out an album or something? What do you plan to do?
Record label?
Yes, definitely. In actual fact, the new Natialo Record Studios is being completed at the moment. I plan to work with great acts, unknown acts that have zeal and passion for music. I've worked with some. I think after working with, I don't know if you've heard Adekunle Gold, Sade.
Definitely.
Yeah. After working on that track, I took a sit back and thought, you know, there are really good untapped talents like this that, you know, I could invest in and most importantly leave a legacy with, because I'm not growing any younger. I need to look back sometime in my life and know, okay, I did this for this artist, you know, I did this and we made good music together, not just the usual one artist comes in today, one artist comes in tomorrow. I want to do an album project. And I might start with mine. I'm already recording in the studio, but I definitely plan to work with other people.
Oh, right. Awesome.
Being someone behind the scene, how's it been when you perform on stage and you're now in front? Juxtapose it with being behind.
He said he's a shy person.
Yeah, he said he's a shy person.
I'm a shy person. I'm a very shy person.
And Olaitan. How do you feel?
I have one trick, and this is the first time I'm going to say it.
Yeah, exclusive on R2 TV. The first time he's saying it. Okay, let's go.
No matter the stage I climbed, even if the crowd was filled with my family members, I would not see them. Everybody just goes blurry once I'm on stage, and that's my trick. So it gives me the confidence to just direct point, sing, and communicate when I'm not looking at anybody specifically. Well, I find out that once I can zone in on one person, I will lose my flow. I start getting very conscious of, oh yeah, I'm on stage, but everybody just tells me the same thing. Oh wow, you were so fantastic. Oh, we like the way you communicated with the crowd. And I'm like, these people don't know. There's no crowd. I didn't see nobody.
What happens in a small gathering? Maybe just 2 of us or 3 of us in the room. What happens in that kind of situation? You look away?
No, with the small gathering, I mean, I can pass it off with looking at people, even 10, 20, or the crowd.
Exclusively, you heard it here on
R2 TV.
I'm really shy. People don't know.
Now you're not shy.
You tell us, you show us a bit of that now. Whenever we're ready, we want that song Elele to play, and he would lip sync, or we'll go with that song, or round up the show on that. But then, how do we get in contact with you? I want to work with Olaitan Dada. How do I get in contact with him, social media and all that?
I mean, they can hook me up on social media. Everything is at Olaitan Dada anyways. Twitter at Olaitan Dada. That's OLAITANDADA. Instagram at Olaitan Dada. Facebook, facebook.com/Olaitan Dada.
Skype.
Do you do voiceovers?
Oh, yes, actually. I do a lot. Well, I can't do it here.
I know you have to do something now. Just okay, this is Mike.
Okay, let me do something.
Okay, all right.
R2TV, the best place for TV entertainment.
That's good. That was good.
One more, Mike and Jyro.
Okay.
Mike and Jyro. Great personalities on air. Too bad.
That was too bad.
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
My name is Mike.
My name is Jyro.
It's been the breakfast show on RTTV. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're signing out. It's Elele. Okay, let's go.
Shoki.
Okay, let's see. Your wife is out there. She's watching. You don't get back to
Yesterday, Nana, I did search the market, but today, baby, you don't care for pockets. Baby, your love, they sweet me. It's sweet past milk and honey. Oh baby, I go along over you. I am not blind to the beautiful things where you do. And I go try to list all of them for you. Because you they cook, you they wash, you they clean, you they I gotta do everything including the He get as you they do the things that you do. He they make me love you times 2.